How you living, Guardians? Welcome to New Light Basics. What the heck is New Light Basics? Well, I'm Unless Inquisitor. I'm here to talk about that. That's what this video is about, as well as some really basic things to consider to kind of get the ball rolling a little bit for New Light Basics. New Light Basics is going to be a series of videos of an undetermined amount on an undetermined amount of things, but covering aspects of Destiny 2 for newer lights, keeping newer lights in mind, not discussing, well, once you get to this power level or once you get this exotic or whatever else, but discussing things for newer lights to help them navigate the game and to help them enjoy the experience more, right? One of the things that I've noticed from the new player kind of response to the game in terms of things that have been said in articles and elsewhere is that newer players feel lost, kind of floundering, kind of overwhelmed with what to do with the game after the short-lived tutorial mission chain, the quest chain with Shohan. Now, if you have been playing Destiny 2 for any length of time, prior to that, the way new lights are handled now, you probably never experienced this mission. You can in the kiosk. But in any case, the kind of consensus for a lot of newer players, especially newer players who don't have friends to kind of guide them along, like they're jumping in and don't know anybody else in, they feel a little bit overwhelmed and lost by what the game is kind of showing them and doing. Now, the tutorial mission, I've played it. It's not horrible. It's not. I think it's okay. I think it establishes the basics very decently: how to move, shoot, interact, how to go to the tower, how to go, to how to fast travel, use your sparrow, how to go to different destinations. But once it's done, it doesn't really give you any guidance on where to go because it can't. It's designed to be the new light tutorial for whatever expansion we're up to, whatever missions are happening at the time, so it can't really guide you anywhere. This leads to newer players feeling a bit high and dry. So, with that said, this is my idea and take on trying to make the game feel more like a game and less like a second job or less like a task that they are forced to complete. So in doing so, I want to discuss as many different aspects of the game as I can for newer lights. It's not how to play the game, right? Not how the movement works or how to build a character or how to use your abilities. It's not how to do that stuff, but it's more for what you can do, things to keep in mind, some basics, hence New Light Basics. Remember, on top of the potential feeling lost, like I mentioned, and newer players have kind of shared, is also you might be new to the genre of gaming. First-person shooter, looter style of gaming might not be your cup of tea before. Maybe you've never really done first-person shooters in any real sense before at all. So the player is going to get used to that end as well on whatever medium they're playing it on, console or PC. So they have that to contend with, plus, picking their class. And then you start off with one subclass. I don't remember which. I know Titan started off with Arc. I don't know if everybody does. It doesn't have all of your capabilities unlocked, nor does it have any aspects of fragments unlocked. You have stuff, you just don't have everything, and you have no aspect of fragments. You don't have any gear aside from what you start with and whatever you're going to find along that mission chain. And no resources to fall back on, like Glimmer and Legendary Marks and the like, to try and enhance your gear quickly by getting gear specifically being sold or whatever else. So there's a lot to overcome and adapt to and a big hill to climb up, and anything to do to help out I think is great for newer players. So everything I'm going to talk about, I'm talking about, of course, through my point of view of it. I can only give you what I feel would be cool or work or things that I've noticed and discovered, but I'm doing it under the context of newer light, right? So if I was in a new light situation, what would I do, so on and so forth. That's the idea here. Should be some fun, and you'll know the videos because it'll say New Light Basics and then something after it. So if it doesn't say New Light Basics, that's not what I'm looking at, but if it does, then you have an idea of what is meant by the video. So with that said, I want to go ahead and just give a few real basic things for newer lights to consider to wrap up this video, so it's not a complete quote-unquote waste or anything like that. So these are some things that either most of it's going to be what I think newer lights should get into the habit and practice of doing and not forgetting about. And one of them is going to be something they should do ASAP. So what they should do ASAP, and I don't know when you'll actually see these offered from iCore Array, because you do eventually visit the tower, right? But whatever you're able to do, as soon as you're able to get to iCore Array, and as soon as she's offering the 2 quests for the other 2 light subclasses of yours, get it ASAP. Chances are you can make good progress or nearly complete them in the background without even realizing it. But if you're an Arc Titan and you really want to be Void or whatever, then of course you can prioritize those. You can prioritize doing that quest, the Void one, of course, as soon as possible. But you want to get these because you're not locked to one subclass. You can use them all, but you have to unlock, them first. So in that case, you'll be good to go that way. And obviously, if you don't want to stay Arc or whatever the subclass is and whatever class you're on, then you need to unlock those ASAP. But just the sooner you get those, the sooner you can really start doubling down on whatever build you want to go for, which will be a topic for another time. Core Array is also where you get your other abilities, your aspects, and your fragments for the light subclasses, and they cost Glimmer. A lot of Glimmer. But anyways, so that's one thing. Get used to checking your inventory, and in between doing several things, checking your postmaster. Your inventory has multiple slots for gear, helmet, primary weapon, heavy weapon, class item, whatever. And as you're learning the game, you might not even realize you are earning some gear as an end mission reward, or that you even ran over. Maybe you thought you ran over this big purple thing or big blue orb, and you didn't realize it gave you a piece of gear because you're also fighting for your life in the particular part of the mission or whatever. It pops up in the top corner of your screen, but you might not be paying attention. So it's always good to check it. Keep it clean. Try to keep it tidy. Try to keep spots open when you're in missions or whatever before you start. Any gear you miss or you can't pick up when the mission ends goes to your postmaster. It's always worthwhile to check out your postmaster in between doing some major stuff, just to make sure your postmaster isn't getting full of items. Once the postmaster gets full, you lose items. I'll go into more detail on this stuff in a future video. I just want to kind of address it here so newer lights who happen to stumble across this, if at all, can get into the habit of checking their inventory, checking their postmaster, and really just checking stuff in general. Checking your map out, checking your quests out. That's where your bounties go. When you complete bounties, that's how they don't auto turn in. You gotta turn them in by just clicking on them. So get used to checking out your director and your inventory, and of course your postmaster. And with that, the last thing I want to kind of bring up is get used to your ghost. How you go to orbit, you pull out your ghost and you go to orbit. You don't have to pull out your ghost for your director. That's true, necessarily. You don't necessarily have to. You kind of can do it from inventory depending upon your buttons, whatever else. But get used to pulling out your ghost. Especially if you're doing solo content like mission-wise, campaign stuff, whatever it is, and you're stuck. It's not always going to put a reticle on your screen to go chase after, but a lot of times it will, and it'll also give you a little blurb in the top left corner of your screen of what you need to be doing at that particular time. So if you killed a bunch of enemies in a room and you have no idea what to do next, pulling out your ghost will give you a bit of a hint. It might even point you in the right direction. Getting used to doing this will hopefully reduce downtime from being stuck and frustration from being stuck. So between that and checking out your quests and mission update stuff in the director as well, you should have a decent idea of where you need to go next in the middle of a mission or whatever else. Anyways, with all that said, that's just some real basic things to kind of get started, to kind of get an idea of what New Light Basics is about, plus the idea of New Light Basics. So if you made it this far, awesome. Hopefully you'll share your thoughts in the comment section down below and be part of the conversation. I welcome that, whether you're a new light with questions or sharing your own experience and wisdom that you've earned, as well as being a more established light sharing their experience as well for more wisdom and more of a conversation and more resources at the disposal for newer lights. Consider subscribing if you made it this far. It helps me out and it'll help you out because you'll be able to be part of future conversations more easily when you're subscribed. And with all that said, that's all I got for you on this one. So until next time, Guardians, stay frosty.